Are you a little late to the party like me on the newest Deadmatter development update? Well, you're not alone, so today we'll take a look at the new info involving snow, navigation, and more in the latest Deadmatter quick update.
Player 2 has entered the game.
Hello, Survivor. If you want to stay up to date on Deadmatter news, leaks, and release info, consider subscribing to not miss anything. Also, how long have you been following Deadmatter? Let me know in the poll on your screen now. And before we get into the meat of this update, the Deadmatter New Year's blog starts with some happy holidays wishes and letting us know that 2019 has been a wild ride, and we want to thank you all for being with us supporting Deadmatter. This year our Discord server community has nearly doubled from 10,606 members to 21,110 when this was written. The community is growing every day, and we can't thank you all enough for your continued support, which you're welcome. We also got our Instagram account up and running, that's good too. The team has also grown to 19, we now have 6 programmers, 10 artists, and 3 animators working to bring the best Deadmatter to players. So basically, the team has grown as well as the fan base, and in my opinion, the bigger things get, the more that is going to be expected of the Deadmatter dev team, so this is good in regards to them getting on the ball with a release schedule. So we'll start off the updates with the dev, Hippo Wombat. He says, I've started working on dynamic weather functions for Deadmatter, beginning with dynamic snow. The first step was to set up a base layer that faded snow visuals and displacement based on a combination of elevation, snow level dropping with temperature, and angular allowance, which cooperatively drive each other as the global snow coverage value increases in-game. Next, I wanted to make sure that coverage didn't occur under covered areas, so I built a system that lets the level designers bake out a static intersection map for static objects. With texture packing, we should be able to cover a massive area, 100 kilometers squared, with reasonable intersection accuracy. And looking at how snow builds in real life, I added an additional pass to allow snow to pile up against objects that it intersects with. Now, all this means is colder temperatures, more snow, warmer temperatures, less snow, higher altitudes will have more snow, and steeper angles on a roof, for example, would not accumulate as much snow. I said snow like 8 times. But it will also not be in places that it shouldn't be, like under a carport. It'll build up on the sides of buildings and other structures. Now, my absolute favorite thing that he added to snow is this. He says, finally, I began work on a dynamic pass that allows for snow trails / indentation in game by capturing select actors and writing them to a temporary buffer that travels with the player. From here, I'll be focusing on refining the static capture process to make sure it's as efficient and easy to use as possible, and then I'll be looking at ways to keep dynamic snow trails persistent even if the player isn't around when they're created or if they leave the area where they are created. And this can have so many implications. One of the biggest for me is tracking other players in the snow, making PvP when it's winter so much more interesting. By the way, this is how I'll be walking into 2020. The next dev update is from Nahito, a new artist. He has added signage to the town of Canmore, and man does it look good. One of these is the actual sign from Canmore. If you had to guess which one, would you take the first pick or the second pick? Let me know in the poll on your screen now, and I'll tell you the answer here shortly. Not only do they look great, but the signage he's created will serve purpose. Considering there's no in-game virtual map, you'll have to use signs, maps, and compasses you find to make your way through Deadmatter. How can you not love that? Next, we have the dev Disseminate, and we're almost done. This is something you'll want to hear because he's been working on some super cool features. He just doesn't have any pretty pics to go with my voice, so bear with me. But he says, I've been getting up to speed with the project and what's been done already, and there's a lot that's already been done. For now, I've been mostly working on Deadmatter's user interface, specifically creating a window manager, building input components, and doing a pass on the main menu. If you're not super technically inclined, which most of us aren't, a window manager keeps track of the UI windows that are open, has some utilities for making new windows like prompts or the server browser, etc. Generally nothing too flashy, but getting this done means we can whip up the UI in no time. This is useful for stuff like panels on machinery, equipment, in-game interactable stuff. Next, he says, I've been tweaking the settings/options menu as well. We want to make sure nobody playing Deadmatter suffers bad performance for any reason, which I love to hear that. So we need to take care with the settings we implement. I also worked on the server browser a bit to make it more performant. For something more interesting, I've been planning the timeline, seasons, and weather systems in Deadmatter. One of our goals is to make a realistic timeline as you play. The world should change with time, and there shouldn't be any hiccups, inconsistencies, or generally any weird bugs. For example, a jittery sun or sky or snow in July. It's still in the planning phase, but I think it's coming along smoothly. All that is good information, so very interesting indeed. Next, we got my guy Ridiculonot. I can never say his name. Anyway, he says, I'm still working on dialogue for Duke cartilage, which for some reason I decided to Google. If you do that, fun fact, humans have salamander-like abilities to regrow cartilage. Just thought you might want to know that. Anyway, yeah, he says he's working with Duke cartilage. He says he's going to post some samples in the future. I've been working on fleshing out some of the characters players will be interacting with later on in development. He says he wants the NPCs players interact with on a regular basis to have believable backgrounds and situations to talk about and possibly explore in the world if you're filling up to that, which means I guess you don't really have to do those things. Oh, and the next update will probably be the most important yet. The big January update will include a release roadmap and is expected to have more detailed info on the game's Alberta-based map. Make sure to subscribe not to miss out on any of the details, and if you need a little bit more Deadmatter info to get hyped about, I recommend the video coming up right now.